And the thing that a lot of people thought were missing from this season was legend changes. Like the meta is the exact same, adding a new mode, whether that be doing a cycle of modes like they did in season 8. Like when people ask them to do that, I feel like it's really because of that. Season 8 they did it. It was pretty buggy. It didn't go perfectly, but they did it. I got their heirloom for the pure fact that I've wanted it since it dropped. I know that she's useless. Like you don't have to tell me. Season 15 dropped earlier this week, so we got the new map, we got catalysts, we got some patch notes. And the thing that a lot of people thought were missing from this season was legend changes. Like the meta is the exact same, but to me it's something else. Something that actually it can't happen yet, but the thing that I think we are missing from this season is going to determine a lot. Like a lot of people have the game's like existence riding on this season. That's the mid-season content. And as for the season launch with the battle pass, the new map, and catalyst, I think the new map is pretty solid. It's kind of in between World's Edge and Stormpoint for me, because one, Terraformer is like the main drop. Like I dropped there. I was playing no fill last night, and I've also played with a team some. I went there pretty much every game, and just like World's Edge, you go fragment, you come out of there if you survive, and it's like 9 squads left. That's exactly how it played for me when I was playing on Broken Moon when I went to Terraformer. And I like the zip rails. I don't think they're too loud. Some people think they're super loud, but I don't even hear them like that. I mean, I have to be decently close, which I mean, I think I should be able to hear someone that is literally flying above my head, but yeah, some people think they're too loud. I think they're fine. They also work well. And I think the reason why people aren't finding each other is because we're all using them. So it's like we're kind of just going around each other, looking for each other at the same time. And on top of the fact that, like I said, 9-10 squads left after Terraformer fight is over, it's like, yeah, it is going to seem like a running simulator. So I think the map is getting too much hate because they're saying it's a running simulator. We do the exact same thing on World's Edge, and that map gets praised nonstop. So there's some inconsistency there with the community, as always, but you know. And the same thing with Catalyst. I think Catalyst is a good legend, but the thing is, she's a defensive legend. Even Caustic and Rampart, who are like the most mobile out of the defensive legends, aren't that popular. And then Watson, who's like, you know, pretty just stationary, kind of camping type. Defensive legends have never been popular in the game. Expecting different from this one just didn't make any sense to me. I think she's pretty good because you can reinforce doors really fast. She's the most mobile defensive legend. When I say mobile defense, I mean like being able to just put stuff down and keep going. Not like she has movement. I don't mean she has movement. She doesn't. Yeah, I think her reinforcement is like her best ability for sure. I think her ult, I'm pretty sure it's bugged. It's supposed to block like Seer's ult or something like that, but I think it's bugged right now, so they're probably gonna fix it. And the tactical is cool. I think I have to get better with placing it. I think that's the problem, but I think it has its uses. I think she's just going to be really strong in buildings, as defensive legends usually are. But I think the wall does have a purpose because you can just block off line of sight and use it to push. Granted, if someone sees you put it up, they can probably just shoot through it and guess where you're at. If they're close enough, they're going to hear your footsteps and they can just kind of track you that way. But I mean, if you have a digi threat, you can't see through the wall. So you can get shot, but it's going to be harder to see you, and your team can rotate a lot easier. Not guaranteed, but you can rotate a lot easier with the wall. A quick side note about Catalyst ult. You can walk through it and be fine. I mean, yeah, you'll get a little vision effect, but you don't get slowed down, and you can still see pretty easily if you only go through it once. So I think it needs to be buffed in that way. I think her ult is pretty weak. And I know I said I think she's strong in buildings. I kind of retract that. I think she's okay in buildings, but carry on. And the Battle Pass has some fire skins. No one likes the charge rifle being the tier 100, but it had to happen at some point. But the mid-season content, adding a new mode, whether that be doing a cycle of modes like they did in season 8, like when people ask them to do that, I feel like it's really because of that. Season 8 they did it. It was pretty buggy. It didn't go perfectly, but they did it. And I believe that if the mid-season content is good, if we actually get meaningful content out of this season, I think Apex will be perfectly fine. But they made that tweet, I mentioned it in the last video, that they said they're not going to add a new mode. I think that's also the problem. I saw a clip of Asu saying that the reason the game feels so stale is because it's always the same, which is true. The meta hardly ever shifts. I mean, we didn't even get legend changes this season, which just came off as super lazy, because in all the other seasons where they added a new map, we had new legend changes. Some of them even had new guns. I know season 3, when World's Edge got added, they added the charge rifle, unfortunately. But I don't think that's the most pressing issue. I think it is a little annoying that they didn't change anything, like the fact that Lifeline is still just in the gutter. Like, she is just borderline useless. I actually did get her heirloom yesterday. If you saw the short I posted, probably a day before this video goes up, I got her heirloom for the pure fact that I've wanted it since it dropped. I know that she's useless. Like, you don't have to tell me, but I've always wanted the drumstick, so I finally got them. But in the case that EA just doesn't address our mid-season concerns, it's gonna go down for the pure fact that they don't support games that aren't hype. With the exception of Battlefield 2042, I looked at the Twitch viewers and it was at like 300 in the middle of the day. It was pretty bad. And I tried to play on PS5 at times, cannot find the game whatsoever. But apparently the PC lobbies are still there, so you can still play if you want to, but I'm not buying the game a second time, obviously. But outside of Battlefield, which by the way is like, you know, an established franchise, so it makes sense why they would try to bring it back, but everything else like FIFA, Madden, those are both monopoly. Well, not monopolies. FIFA has competition with PES, but Madden has a monopoly. And Need for Speed has a monopoly. It's not even as big of a game as FIFA like at all, but it's still, there's no competition since Midnight Club hasn't dropped since the PS3 days. Midnight Club LA, like Dub Edition, I think it was. And if you still don't believe me, NBA Live, what happened to that? I mean, they took a break after 2K took over. They came back with 14. It was horrible. I mean, horrible. They did NBA Live 14, 15, and I want to say they did 16 and then skipped up until 18. And it still wasn't much better. It was better, but it wasn't much better. It was a fun game. 18 and 19 were fun. They just still got ran through by 2K. And now we haven't had NBA Live since. Hopefully they make a comeback. Because, I mean, side note, I want a good basketball game. I just cannot stand to play 2K. I'm not spending $50 a player. I can't do it. And that's on top of a $70 game. $70 plus $50 a player. Unless you really want to grind all that way up, but no one's doing that anymore. I mean, it's just too much work. I am not putting a full-time job into this game. But now that my 2K rant is over, yeah, season 15 dropped and the Twitch viewership is just, you know, kind of a metric for popularity of a game. Apex still is not past Overwatch. On the launch day, it was still under Overwatch 2, which I kind of didn't expect that. I thought that the new map would kind of revitalize the community a little bit, bring them back to play a little bit, but no, people are still on Overwatch 2. And I understand why. After 2 days of playing, I'm like, yeah, it just feels like same old again. But yeah, I really do hope they, you know, do something to just switch it up with Apex. It's been the same for too long. I hope they do make the improvements, make the game better, but that is just my take on it. And if you missed my last video on a free-to-play game that you could play besides Modern Warfare 2, so you don't gotta drop that $70 on it, you can check out the video on the screen right now, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.